It's kind of amazing, isn't it, how quickly digital tools and AI especially are just fundamentally changing healthcare. We're seeing this transformation touch, well, pretty much everything, from how doctors diagnose diseases right down to how you schedule an appointment. It's happening fast. So today we're doing a deep dive into digital health. Our mission really is to unpack the complexities around clinical AI. We want to look at how it's being adopted right now and what the opportunities look like moving forward. We'll get into how clinical AI is categorized, figure out how some of it gets regulated as actual medical devices, and maybe peek at some of the startups making waves in this whole area.
It's definitely an exciting space. And yeah, clinical AI, I almost see it as this huge playground.
Yeah.
It covers basically any AI using health data for, well, almost anything. Could be administrative stuff like scheduling, or it could be super complex, like helping diagnose diseases from scans. It's a really broad spectrum.
A playground, I like that. And you mentioned within that playground, there's this really key distinction. The difference between AI having an indirect impact versus a direct impact on patients. Why is that line so important?
Oh, it's crucial because that line dictates pretty much all the oversight and regulation. Clinical AI, broadly speaking, is all about analyzing these really diverse data sets. Think about medical images, X-rays, CT scans, genetic tests, lab results, even doctor's notes from an exam. AI is being used to make sense of all that data for diagnosis and other tasks.
Okay, so let's start with the indirect side then, the stuff that's generally not regulated, like a medical device. What kind of things fall into that bucket?
Right, so these are often tools working, let's say, behind the scenes to optimize processes. Good examples are AI automating lab testing, makes things more efficient, more precise, maybe helping sort blood cultures faster or refining tests to pick the right antibiotic much quicker. Or think about drug development. AI can help shorten clinical trials, predict potential drug toxicity really early on. That saves a huge amount of time and, frankly, money.
And what about the things patients might interact with more but aren't diagnostic? Like those chatbots or virtual assistants.
Exactly. Those virtual health assistants, whether they're chatbots or voice systems, they're perfect examples of indirect impact AI. They handle tasks like booking appointments, maybe sending you medication reminders, or providing general health information. Not diagnosing, just helping the system run smoother. Even in pure R&D, AI is crunching massive data sets in biotech, finding insights that, it would take humans years to uncover manually.
That's fascinating. So much is happening that we as patients might not even realize is AI powered. But then the flip side, AI with a direct impact on patient outcomes. You said these are regulated. What are some clear examples there?
Absolutely. These are the systems where the AI's output directly influences health decisions, treatment pathways, that kind of thing. So think diagnostic AI tools, maybe software that analyzes a CT scan to flag something critical like bleeding in the brain or looks at a photo of a skin lesion and classifies its cancer risk. That's directly informing a potential diagnosis.
And even inside the operating room itself.
Yes, precisely. AI-enabled robotic surgical systems are a prime example. They can assist surgeons, offering incredible precision, real-time feedback during, say, minimally invasive procedures. Or think about AI used in patient monitoring. Those sophisticated displays in an ICU, constantly tracking vital signs, maybe alerting staff to subtle changes predictive of a problem. That's AI directly involved in moment-to-moment care.
Okay, so that direct patient impact, that's the real pivot point here. That's what pushes these AI systems into the category of medical devices that need regulating. Is that right?
That's exactly it. That crucial distinction leads us straight into the world of AI-enabled medical devices, or AI-AMD. Because they directly affect patient outcomes, they absolutely need strict regulation. And generally, they fall into one of two main categories. You've got software as a medical device, SAMMD, and software and medical devices, SEMMD.
Right. Let's focus on SAMD first. Software as a medical device. I think this might surprise some people, the idea that the device is literally just software. It does something medical all by itself, not as part of a physical machine.
Yeah, it can seem counterintuitive at first, but think about maybe an app on your phone. You upload a picture of a mole and the AI analyzes it, gives you a risk assessment for skin cancer. That app, the software itself, is the medical device in that case. That's SAMD. And regulators like the FDA in the US, they have a very specific focus on SAMD, explicitly including AI and machine learning under that umbrella. And for SAMD to get approved, it needs serious clinical evaluation.
Okay, so what does that evaluation actually involve for something that's just code? What hoops does software have to jump through?
Well, it's quite rigorous. First, they need to validate the clinical association. Does the software's output actually mean something relevant to the patient's health or condition? Then there's analytical validation, basically. Does the software technically work correctly? Is it accurate and reliable from a purely technical standpoint? And finally, arguably the most important, is clinical validation. Does using this software actually lead to better clinical outcomes in real-world settings? This is measured using standard metrics, things like sensitivity, specificity, how good is it at correctly identifying the condition, and how good is it at correctly ruling it out.
Got it. Sensitivity, specificity, proving it actually helps patients. Makes sense.
Then the other category is software in medical devices, or SIMMD. Now, unlike SAMD, SIMMD is software that's an integral part of a physical hardware medical device. Its job is usually to control the hardware, process data coming from the device's sensors, maybe run the user interface the clinician interacts with.
So like the complex software running an MRI machine, telling it what to do, how to scan, or the program on that ICU patient monitor we mentioned, analyzing the vital signs from the sensors. That's SIMMD enabling the hardware.
Exactly right. The software makes the physical device perform its medical function. It's embedded within it. And it's worth noting, just as a quick aside, in the European Union, they use the term medical device software, or MDSW, which actually covers both SAMD and SIMMD. Their definition is broader. Any software with a medical purpose or acting as an accessory to a device falls under MDSW, standalone or embedded.
Okay, so we've got these different types of clinical AI and these categories like SAMD and SIMMD based on patient impact and whether they're standalone software or part of hardware. How does this play out in terms of regulation globally? Let's start with the EU. They've been pretty forward with their EU AI Act and the existing medical device regulations, the MDR and IVDR.
Yeah, the EU AI Act is really a landmark piece of legislation. It sets up a unified legal framework specifically for AI, and it uses a risk-based approach, which is key. For AI systems, they classify as high risk in healthcare, and this includes things like AI for biometric identification, or systems used for sorting patients based on their medical history, or even AI managing public health services or electronic health records. The requirements are incredibly strict.
And what kind of requirements are we talking about for those high-risk systems? What do developers need to prove?
It's comprehensive. They need thorough risk assessments, really robust data governance practices, detailed technical documentation. There's a strong emphasis on transparency, ensuring human oversight is possible and effective. Plus, they have to demonstrate high levels of accuracy, robustness against errors or attacks, and solid cybersecurity. It's a high bar. Now, for lower-risk systems, like maybe those general health info chatbots we talked about, it's less stringent. There's more of a voluntary code of conduct approach there.
And it sounds like the AI Act doesn't just exist on its own. It builds on the existing medical device rules, the MDR and IVDR, especially around transparency for these high-risk AI medical devices.
Absolutely. It reinforces and expands on those principles. It specifically mandates transparency and explainability for high-risk AI AMD. Manufacturers can't just ship a black box AI. They have a duty to make sure the people deploying and using the AI, the doctors, the hospitals, actually understand its logic, know its limitations, how it's expected to behave. This often means building in safeguards, providing tools to help clinicians interpret the AI's output, designing user interfaces that make sense. It's all about empowering the human user, and this responsibility doesn't stop at launch. Both the AI Act and the MDR-VDGAR require strong post-market monitoring. Systems have to be in place to continuously track the AI's performance and safety out in the real world. They have to make sure it stays safe and effective, adhering to established standards like ISO 14971 for risk management and IEC 62304 for the software development lifecycle.
That definitely sounds like a thorough approach in the EU. Let's shift gears now and look at India. It's a huge, rapidly growing digital health market. How are they approaching AI regulation in healthcare?
India's approach is also evolving. Generally, AI-based healthcare solutions, particularly diagnostic tools or software used in treatment, are classified as medical devices. This means they need to comply with the medical device rules from 2017. The overall goal of the Indian framework is, much like elsewhere, to ensure safety and efficacy, hold providers accountable, but also, importantly, to foster innovation in the sector.
And India also launched something quite ambitious, the National Digital Health Mission, NDHM. You described it as a nationwide open digital ecosystem.
That's right. It's a major initiative with several core parts designed to streamline healthcare digitally. One key element is a unique health ID for every citizen they can choose to link it to their Aadhaar ID, but it's optional. There's also a health facility registry, basically the directory of all healthcare facilities, public and private. And critically, it includes personal health records, or PHRs. A really important aspect of NDHM is its emphasis on informed consent for any data sharing, and it uses a federated architecture.
Federated. What does that mean in practice?
It means the patient data isn't stored in one massive central database. Instead, it stays primarily where it was generated at the hospital, the clinic, the point of care. Think of it like local libraries keeping their own books, rather than one giant national library. It helps with privacy and local control.
That sounds like a sensible approach for data privacy. But obviously, implementing something this massive in a country like India must come with challenges, right? What are some of the hurdles they're facing with digital health adoption?
Definitely. Data protection is a big one. India has laws like the Information Technology Act and is working on newer legislation like the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill. These generally require written consent to share sensitive personal data. But there are ongoing debates around government access to data, data localization, whether data has to be stored within India, things like that. Another major challenge is the digital divide. We saw this during the Cowan Portal rollout for COVID vaccines. Access to reliable internet, smartphones, even just digital literacy. These were barriers for many people. Ensuring equitable access is critical.
And the liability question comes up again too, I imagine. What happens if an AI makes a mistake?
Exactly. Who is liable if an AI system leads to a misdiagnosis or harm? Is it the developer, the doctor who used it, the hospital? These are complex legal and ethical questions. So yeah, robust data protection, real transparency in how these AI systems work, and a clear framework for liability and accountability. These are all crucial pieces needed to build trust and make sure digital health benefits everyone fairly.
It really is such a dynamic field. You've got this incredible promise, but also these really significant hurdles. Let's maybe broaden out again and talk about some of the key challenges and opportunities we see globally as AI gets woven deeper into the fabric of healthcare.
Sure. One persistent challenge is definitely the black box problem, the lack of interpretability and transparency in some AI models. If clinicians can't understand why an AI reached a certain conclusion, it's hard to trust it, right? Especially when patient safety is on the line. So we need more transparent algorithms, rigorous testing. Then there's the issue of bias. This is a huge one. AI systems learn from data. And if that data reflects existing societal biases, the AI will learn and potentially amplify those biases.
Can you give an example of that?
Yeah, for instance, we've seen cases where risk prediction algorithms showed racial bias because the historical data they were trained on reflected unequal access to care. Or diagnostic tools trained mainly on images of light skin struggling to accurately diagnose conditions on darker skin tones. Overcoming this means we need much larger, more diverse, more representative data sets, and we need to actively audit these systems for bias before and after deployment.
That's so critical for equitable healthcare. What other challenges are top of mind?
Ethical considerations around data privacy and ownership are always there. Who owns patient data when it's aggregated? How is it monetized? You have regulations like HIPAA in the US, GDPR in Europe, and similar concerns driving legislation in India and elsewhere. There's also the impact on healthcare professionals themselves. Concerns about de-skilling. Will doctors rely too much on AI and lose some core skills? Potential job displacement, though often it's more about changing roles. And a really tricky one, liability. We touched on it. But what about the flip side? Could a clinician be held liable for not using an available AI tool if it could have improved patient care? That's a complex emerging question.
Wow, yeah, that adds another layer.
And finally, just the sheer pace. Regulatory agility is tough. AI evolves so fast, regulations struggle to keep up. We need frameworks that are adaptive, harmonized globally where possible, balancing safety with the need to let innovation flourish. Especially challenging is verifying and validating AI that learns over time, adaptive AI. How do you ensure it stays safe when it's constantly changing? That requires really strict change control plans.
It's definitely a complex web of challenges, but let's pivot to the opportunities, because they are genuinely transformative, aren't they? Where are the biggest upsides?
Oh, absolutely. The potential is immense. We're already seeing improved clinical outcomes and efficiency in many areas. Radiology is a great example. AI enhancing image quality, maybe reducing radiation dose needed, speeding up scan times, automating lab processes, improving diagnostic accuracy across various fields. It's also revolutionizing research and development in biotech. AI can analyze data at a scale and speed humans just can't, accelerating the discovery of new drugs, helping us understand diseases better. It's enabling truly personalized medicine through fields like immunomics, understanding individual immune responses, and synthetic biology, designing new biological solutions.
And for the patient experience day to day,
Enhanced patient engagement is a big one. Those virtual health assistants, when done well, can improve medication adherence, provide accessible information, help patients manage chronic conditions better, and bridging access gaps. Digital health tools like telemedicine look at India's eSanjeevani platform connecting rural patients with doctors. These technologies can bring quality health care to underserved areas, really pushing towards universal health coverage. And longer term, there's this potential for democratizing health data itself, empowering patients to control their own data, maybe even be compensated if they choose to share it in an anonymized, aggregated way for research. That's a powerful idea.
It really is. And with all this opportunity, it's no surprise we're seeing a lot of innovation and investment. Are there specific startups or maybe key players you see making significant strides in this digital health space?
Yeah, definitely. We mentioned India earlier. A company like 5C Network India, PVT Ltd, is quite active there, particularly in the radiology AI space, sort of a med tech player. But it's much broader than just individual companies. You see a whole ecosystem developing. Venture capital firms are taking notice. For example, there's a firm called Seven More Adventures that specifically invests in oncology digital health startups. Their focus areas: care navigation, improving clinical trials, providing clinical decision support tools that really reflects where a lot of the startup activity is happening. It's dynamic across the board.
So, wrapping things up, we've really covered a lot of ground today. We've gone from understanding clinical AI as this broad playground to dissecting that crucial difference between direct and indirect patient impact. We looked at how that drives regulation, leading to concepts like SaMND and SIMND, explored the regulatory landscapes in the EU and India, and touched on both the significant challenges and the truly exciting opportunities, including the startups pushing the boundaries.
Absolutely. And I think the key takeaway is that digital health, significantly powered by AI, isn't just a niche anymore. It's becoming a fundamental pillar of how healthcare is delivered. It genuinely holds the promise to revolutionize how people everywhere can achieve better health outcomes. It's a paradigm shift underway.
It certainly feels that way. So maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to ponder. As AI continues its rapid evolution and weaves itself ever deeper into our healthcare experiences, how do we as patients, providers, developers, policymakers collectively ensure that this powerful technological innovation always prioritizes patient safety, guarantees equitable access for everyone, and maintains essential human oversight? How do we build and sustain trust in a healthcare future increasingly shaped by algorithms?